Hello, all of you sentient beings. I'm the Blackheart Vigilante. Face reveal! Not impressive, I know. I've decided to make this video tonight because I've been having a lot of issues with my conversion disorder. And I figured since a lot of people don't know what that is or understand a lot of the symptoms or what people go through, that this would be a good time to talk about it and explain what it is that I'm going through. I figured that I would start off by giving you the definitions that I found. I personally was told that it is a functioning neurological disorder, which sounds crazy when you're experiencing it because you're not functioning right. Your whole body is not functioning right. And you're sitting there thinking, this isn't functionable. Functionable is not a word. You can't function correctly, and it disrupts your life. But what they mean by that is that your brain is functioning properly. There is nothing that's actually wrong with your brain. It's psychological, maybe. They told me that I needed to go to counseling to fix it. Counseling did nothing. It didn't fix anything. I sat and they asked me how my day was, and then I would tell them. Sometimes I'd cry, and they'd go, okay, well, let's set up an appointment for next week. Yeah. So, I meditate. That's what helps me more than anything. I haven't really found anything that really, really helps. I wish it would go away. It disrupts my life. It makes it hard to live a normal life. I feel less of a mom than I was. I feel less of I want to say wife, but we're not married yet. But yeah, I can't keep up with the housework like I used to. I'm no longer able to work. It is very stressful and it has disrupted my life quite a bit. But now I'm going to give you the definitions I found. Medline Plus defines it as a mental condition in which a person has blindness or paralysis or other symptoms pertaining to the nervous system that cannot be explained by medical evaluation. WebMD defines it as a condition in which you have physical symptoms of a health problem, but no injury or illness to explain it. The Mayo Clinic goes more in depth. If you want to look it up, I would suggest looking it up under the Mayo Clinic's website. The Mayo Clinic says that the symptoms are real and cause significant distress, which they do, or problems functioning, which they do. It affects your movement or senses, such as the ability to walk, swallow, hear, or see. Symptoms can vary in severity and may come and go or be persistent. Mine come and go. However, you can't intentionally produce or control your symptoms. The cause of the disorder is unknown. I was informed by my doctor that she thinks that mine is from a past relationship that I was in that was abusive, which doesn't make sense to me because it's something that was years ago that I have worked through, that I've gotten over. I've completely forgiven the person. We have children together. It's over. I'm healed. So I don't see why that would be affecting me now, but that's what she seems to think the problem is. The condition may be triggered by a neurological disorder or by reaction to stress or a psychological or physical trauma, but that's not always the case. Functional neurological disorders are related to how the brain functions rather than damage to the brain's structure, such as from a stroke, multiple sclerosis, infection, or injury, which I find kind of funny because mine was brought on by my 2017 stroke. They said that brought on the conversion disorder, but it's from years ago from past abuse. I don't know. I don't understand it. Signs and symptoms that affect the body movement and function may include weakness or paralysis, which I sometimes suffer from, abnormal movement such as tremors or difficulty walking, which I sometimes suffer from, loss of balance, which I sometimes suffer from, difficulty swallowing or feeling a lump in the throat, which I sometimes suffer from, and not to gross you out, but sometimes I have to puke up the food that I've attempted to swallow because it gets to about here and then it stops and then it hurts and it feels like you're choking, and the only way to make it stop is to puke it up and wait for a while before you attempt to drink or eat anything again, because you can't swallow drinks either. Moving on. Seizures are episodes of shaking and apparent loss of consciousness, non-epileptic seizures. Now, I do suffer from this sometimes too, except the difference is I will pass out. My mom says that my eyes roll back in my head and then my eyes close and I just drop. I describe it more as, because I don't lose consciousness, I lose control of my body. I watch a lot of anime, so the best way that I can describe it, and the way that I describe it to my children, it's like my body is my Gundam or my mobile suit. My brain is the pilot. My Gundam shuts down and my brain is trying to figure out every way possible to turn it back on, screaming at it to wake up and start moving again, but completely conscious. Like, I can hear everything going on around me. I can't see anything, but that would be because my eyes are closed and I cannot open them. I cannot move. I just kind of have to lay there until my body goes, oh, okay, and it's like kind of like a computer rebooting, and I'm back. So, it sucks. Episodes of unresponsiveness, which falls into the same thing as the passing out. I just kind of lose it. I'm conscious, but I can't talk to you. I cannot move. I cannot open my eyes. I cannot signal to you at all. Moving on. Signs and symptoms that affect the senses may include numbness or loss of the touch sensation. I have not experienced that yet, and I hope I don't. Speech problems, such as inability to speak or slurred speech. I have both of those. Sometimes my words just come out sounding wrong because I can't speak properly, and sometimes I sound like I'm drunk, which is fun in public when people start staring at you weird because you're talking funny. Vision problems such as double vision or blindness. I've experienced both. More than anything, I experience tunnel vision and double vision. It also says that it can cause hearing problems or deafness. I don't think I've ever experienced the deafness. I do hear ringing in my ears a lot since all of this came on, but I mean, as far as my hearing, that's as far as I know all that's happened. Yeah. I also, my face does this thing where my muscles start to twitch, and then like it'll pull. Like I'll it's kind of like this, and then it's very embarrassing, especially when it happens in public. It's also embarrassing when I walk into walls and when I stumble or fall into walls. There was a time about a year ago that we did not have a vehicle, so we were having to ride the bus. And I was riding the bus with a toddler, and I was having problems. And people on the bus were giving me dirty looks and yelling at me, and I started crying, and I informed my fiance that I would never leave again until we had a vehicle of our own, because I couldn't take it anymore. It's okay. See, the lip quiver, that's not intentional. That is part of the symptoms. I have trouble with my eyes a lot. I will roll my eyes, not intentionally. I'm not rolling my eyes at you. They'll just start rolling. Like I said, I do the pass out thing every day, which is why I'm unable to work. It has caused me severe depression because of the fact that I have lost that ability. I lost the job that I loved, that I wanted to be my career. It was the most awesome, fulfilling job I've ever had in my life. I worked for Hillcroft of Muncie, and I was a DSP, and I helped disabled people, and it was such a fulfilling job, and I loved it. It was what I felt like I was here for, to help people. And then this happened. I had a stroke. Actually, my son and I were at the mother-son bowling thing for school. And we just got there. Picked up a bowling ball, and I'd been having a migraine. At least I thought it was a migraine for the most part of the day. So, took some Advil before we showed up at the bowling alley and picked up the bowling ball, and I felt like something, like it popped. It felt like something popped in the back of my neck. And then my vision crossed, and I started having trouble seeing, and one of the other moms took the ball away from me and helped me to sit down. And I thought, okay, I haven't eaten today. Maybe my sugar's low. So we had pizza sitting there, so I started eating it. But I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what I was doing. I started to go blind, which is part of a stroke from what I've been told. She had 2 other mothers come over who were nurses, who started asking me questions. Apparently, my face was drooping. I was leaning. I thought I was sitting up. They kept saying, "Can you sit up straight?" And I was like, "I am sitting up straight." And they were like, "Can you smile for me?" And I tried. They were like, "She's having a stroke. Call an ambulance." So I got a hold of my fiance. He had his mom to come pick my son up. He went with me to the hospital. All I remember is getting into the ambulance. And then I remember my fiance talking to me, and the nurse saying, I couldn't see them. I could not see my fiance. I could not see the nurse, but they were talking to me. They said my eyes were open. I couldn't see anything. But they asked me if I knew where I was. I said, I'm in the ambulance, because it had felt like maybe 2 minutes. And they said, no, you're at the hospital. And my fiance was like, sweetie, we've been at the hospital for a while. It's 10 o'clock at night. It was like 5 when I had my stroke. So that was like 5 hours that I just completely lost. So that messed me up. I had to go home with a walker. No, wait, back up. I went home without anything. I ended up back in the hospital the next day because I couldn't walk. I kept walking into walls and walking in circles, and I felt extremely drunk. So we went back to the hospital, and that's when I went home with a walker. And I did physical therapy and all that, and for the most part, I can walk fine. My balance isn't the best anymore. I do not have a steady hand anymore, if you can't tell by my horrible makeup. But my memory is short-term memory is really bad now due to the stroke. But other than that, those are pretty much the only deficits I have. I am weaker on my left side now than I used to be. But for the most part, I got lucky, I think. Especially since they informed me while I was in the hospital that this wasn't my first stroke. And when I think back about it, I'm pretty sure that my first one was in 2011. Because I started having, I was with somebody else, the abusive relationship. And I had gotten up to tell him goodbye as he was leaving for work at 6 o'clock in the morning. And as he shut the door, I fell into the wall. I became very dizzy, and I was unable to stand back up. I had to crawl to my bedroom. I had to crawl to wake my son up for school that day. I had to crawl to make bottles for my children and to feed them and stuff. When he got home from work, I asked him if I could please go to the hospital because I thought I had had a stroke. Sorry, I had to pause because my son needed something. But yeah, I told him I thought I was having a stroke, and he kind of told me that I couldn't go to the hospital because he couldn't afford to miss work and he couldn't take care of the kids. So no. And it was probably just vertigo and I'd be fine. So I stayed in bed for 2 days straight, unable to properly take care of my children. And then I was fine. So I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe he was right. He was wrong. I was right. But anyway, I went to a doctor shortly after that, and she told me that because, I was like experiencing brain fog. See, I can't talk right. I couldn't think straight. My memory was going, and I was extremely tired. And she said, I just need some vitamin D supplements and to eat fish. And then she sat and talked to me about how her daughter or granddaughter, whoever it was, would sit and watch old 80s sitcoms with her and talk to me about those. And I'm just like, this is not what I'm paying you for. And guess who they sent me to when I went to see if I could get disability? Same lady. I got denied because she said that I needed something to eat. It's like, I just ate. Apparently I was lying. Whatever. Anyway, if you so after my stroke in 2017, I started having all these symptoms, and the doctor said, have you ever been in an abusive relationship? I was like, yeah, but it was years ago. She said, well, I think you have a conversion disorder, and that's what it's from. I was like, it was years ago. I've moved on. I've healed from that. She said, I know, but that's what we think this is, and that's what we think caused it. And it was brought on by your stroke. Okay. So, sometimes I can't walk. Sometimes it's like my body just freezes. And I'm still conscious, but I can't move. It's like the way I can explain it best is, those little wind-up soldiers or wind-up toys, and then they wind down and they stop moving, and you got to wind them up again. It's kind of like that, only I have to be pushed or pulled, and then I'll start moving again, and there's not a problem. It's weird. I do have the tremors. Sometimes it happens in my sleep. Sometimes it's while I'm awake. I'll just start shaking. Or I have lip quiver again. I'll start doing weird movements with my hands or my legs. My right leg kicks a lot. I don't know what it's about, but I can't control it. Like I said, I'll have weird, my hands will go like this, and then my arm will start raising up, and I just have to wait until my muscles relax, or I will grab hold of something and I can't let it go. I often tell my family, you got to pull this out of my hand because I cannot let go. It sucks. It's bad. I've had a lot of people think that I'm faking, including the Delaware County paramedics. I don't like them. And I hate to say that because I have friends who work for them, but I don't like them. The last time I went to the hospital in an ambulance, I told my fiance that I would rather lie on the floor and die before I get into another ambulance. Because the last time I went, which was not the only bad experience I had, because I've been called fake by other paramedics who have no clue what my condition is, so they think I'm faking. But the last time, the lady treated me like a drug addict. And then when they got me into the ambulance away from my fiance, her and her teammate started screaming at me, telling me to stop shaking. I could not control that. Told me to pay attention. I could not do that. Then when we got to the hospital, a nurse looked at her and said, "What's going on?" And this, gonna be nice, person started laughing, and she looked at the nurse and said, "Hypochondriac." Not a hypochondriac. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. My fiance was scared. He didn't know what was going on. This is all new to all of us. And, yeah. So the nurse treated me like crap, which I made it a point to report her To which she called my parents' house and told them she was sorry and that she didn't mean to make me feel bad. This woman yelled at me because I could not lift my feet up. This woman yelled at me because I could not talk. Because, sometimes it does, like, paralyze your vocal cords. Like, you're moving your lips, but nothing's coming out. Or you can whisper. And that's what I was going through that night. And the doctor and her tech were really nice and very understanding. They looked up my condition and, they were trying to help me. But this nurse, she, when she dismissed me or told me that we could leave, my fiance tried to help me change clothes because I was wearing a hospital gown. She said, no, just take it home. It's like, okay. So I went home in a hospital gown and, we had all my stuff in a bag, but I didn't want to go home in a hospital gown. So her and another nurse are wheeling me out to the parking lot so that my fiance can pick me up. And the other nurse looks at her and says, well, shouldn't we get her closer? And she looked at her and said, no, she can walk. She's just faking. And then she got down and said, aren't you? Now get up and walk. And I told my fiance in the loudest whisper I could, get her the fuck away from me. And if I could have gotten up and hit her in her face, I would have. Instead, my fiance had to pick me up, put me in our van, and take me home. I was so bad the next day that I could barely wake up. I was extremely dizzy. I kept passing out. I couldn't even get dressed. I was still wearing the hospital gown from the hospital the night before. It sucked. And I don't want anybody else to have to go through what I went through with people yelling at them because they don't understand the condition and accusing them of faking because they don't understand the condition. I refuse to go to the hospital again. I refuse to go back to the doctor. The last neurologist that I went to, as soon as she found out that I had lost my insurance, which I didn't even know until we were there, told me there was nothing wrong, stop all my medication, she didn't need to see me again. Didn't even try to help me. That's just, as soon as she found out I didn't have insurance, she stopped caring. Gotta love IU Health. I will not go back to them. I've not gone back to them. I will only go to St. Franciscan here. And I try to avoid going to a doctor at all because they don't help. They just say, oh, you need counseling. Counseling doesn't help. Counseling actually exasperates my condition and makes it worse. It doesn't help. It's a real condition. You can't control it. It disrupts your life. It stresses you out. I am literally on antidepressants because I've wanted to kill myself many times since 2017 because I can't work. I can't work because I pass out every day. And I don't always know when it's going to happen. A lot of the times I do. I'll get like a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach and then I'm out. But sometimes I don't. And even if I did get that feeling at work, you can't just sit down on the job and go, oh, I'm going to pass out, because you're going to lose your job. And I'm screwed there. I can't take care of my kids the way that I feel I should. I can't take care of my house the way I would like to. I can't go for a walk without having to stop every 5 minutes because I'm either going to pass out or I get weak and I can't go on. It's really life-changing and it's not fun. I've applied for disability twice and been denied. I'm thinking about going to a lawyer to try again because I can't work. It sucks. But, this is the life of somebody living with a conversion disorder. If you ever meet somebody with one, be kind because they're not faking. All of my tests always come back normal. There's nothing wrong. But there's something wrong. And I can't control it and I can't stop it and I hate it. And sometimes I sit and cry because I don't want this anymore. I want to be normal. I want a normal body. I want a normal life again. And none of us have a normal life anymore. But thank you for watching my video, and I hope this helps somebody and helps others to be more understanding of. I'm starting to have problems. Helps people who don't understand the condition. I stutter sometimes. I have slurred speech, and sometimes I'll repeat words over and over, and I can't stop until I get the sentence out, even though my family's like, we know what you're saying. I just can't control these facials. This is what I was talking about. I can't control this. This is going to be like this for a while. Have a good night, everybody. Love and light to you all, and be kind. Thank you.